What's up, gang? It's Brian B.
And Miss Megan.
Video number 3 in our 3-video series teaching you how to take your basic patterns and create amazing social dances. Specifically, we're talking about handholds. In the last video, we talked about how to transition in and out of a handshake hold, right? We gave you a couple moves to transition to this hold and a couple moves to transition back. In this video, we're going to talk about 2 moves to get into this hold and 2 moves to get back. So we're going to start off uber duper basic because the first one is just a good old-fashioned sugar push where I pick up that hand and I have my right to right hold. So
nothing wrong with anything simple.
Nothing wrong with anything simple. It's really the one that I use to set up this handhold so I can get to my cooler moves. The second one is also equally basic, but sometimes we don't think about it. It's just a whip where we float back. Speaking of that, we did a video recently on floating the anchor back, and that would be an example. So version number 1, sugar push to pick up that hand. Version number 2 is using a whip to get down to this handhold. Cool? There you go. Now the question is, how do we get out of this? Now we're going to use 2 basic easy moves, but then I'm going to give you a bunch of cool variations that will layer on endlessly. So the very first easiest one is something like an inside turn. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. So I use this all the time for beginners to give them different looks. I'll do a little sugar push, and then I'll give them an inside turn or a free spin off this hand. Cool? Second version is we are going to, from this handhold, we're going to use a reverse whip. So we're going to take a reverse whip, 1, 2, 3, and 4 of 5, 6, 7, and 8. And again, if a reverse whip is new to you, we're going to link a video down below. But the basics of it are, I'm going to lead Megan towards me for 1, 2, a little prep towards me. I'm going to send this hand diagonally away for 3 and. 3 and. She's going to land in my hand. We're going to step across for 4 as I start to pick up this hand, and now we're back. So if we look at those 2 from the other side, 2 ways to get in. Don't worry, we're going to have some cool advanced options for you next. 2 ways to get in. Sugar push, right? Or a whip. 1, 2, 3, and 4 of 5, 6, and slide it down. Pro tip for the followers on that slide down.
Making sure that you stay connected. I do have actually a little bit of connection down. It's not like I'm really pushing down. It's just making sure that I keep in contact.
And as the leader, as I'm fishing this out, if the follower is not doing that, I will actually kind of C-cup and make sure that I maintain that. So 2 ways to get out. Easiest way is some sort of an inside turn. We can use a free spin, right? We can also pick up the hand on that spin. Basic inside turn stuff straight from beginner class. The more advanced option is the reverse whip to get out, which will get us to a standard handhold. Now, just to show you how these patterns build, we've given you a way to get in and out of those handholds, right? Those basic patterns have bunches of options. So I'm just going to give you a couple of here. Then we're going to link up what's called our pattern tree chart, which will actually show you how the 3 basic patterns, the push, the pass, the whip, will turn into all of the different patterns. So you can download that. We'll put the link here in the description below. It's a really, really cool resource that will show you how these patterns to get together. But just to whet your appetite a little bit, let's say I end up in this handhold, right? And I know how to get out with a reverse whip. That's cool. But did you know there's a million different reverse whip options available, right? And we can layer on all sorts of stuff. So that's just one for you. It's the same reverse whip, but I go up and over Megan's head, pick up the back, and the whole goal was to transition back to that hand. So that is one option. We, for an inside turn, right, we talked about basic inside turn. Now this is not an option that I would lead with a beginner dancer, but with Miss Megan here, I feel pretty comfortable. I can lead an inside turn and pick up into a duck, right? So I'm using basic patterns, right, that my partner knows. I can do a sugar push. I want to get rid of that hand, and I can do a duck, boom. That makes sense? You could actually reference back, we did the video before this in the series. We actually talked about how to get from this handhold to a right to right. And one of the patterns we used was a side pass, right? We did a side pass, and then we did a little rock and go footwork to get back to that handhold. So watch this, how all this works together. If I do this little duck, but I want to transition to a right to right, I use that footwork to transition to the right to right. So To find out more about how all of our patterns link together, download the pattern tree chart. If you haven't watched the other video in this series, we will link that up here where we talk about how to get in and out of the right to right hand hold. And please like and subscribe to the channel, and we look forward to dancing with you on a dance floor real soon.